There is a shift so powerful, it takes only 5 minutes, but its impact echoes across your entire timeline. Most people miss the moment. You are not one of them. Right now, you are sitting at the intersection of infinite futures, and one small conscious choice can unlock the path you have been waiting for. This is not a metaphor. It is physics. It is consciousness. And it is real. Your timeline is not a straight line you are forced to walk. It is a vast quantum web of potentialities, each choice, each emotion, each focus of your attention branching into a different version of reality. And the doorway into that shift, it is not years of struggle or monumental action. It is a single moment of awareness, one that lasts just long enough to recalibrate your energy. Have you ever felt like one conversation, one insight, one quiet realization changed everything? That was not chance. That was a shift in resonance, and it altered your trajectory. You do not need more time to change your life. You need more presence. 5 minutes of conscious alignment, real alignment, can redirect the path your life follows from this point forward. It is not because those 5 minutes are magical. It is because those 5 minutes are intentional. In the quantum field, time is not what we've been taught. It is not a linear sequence, but a canvas of probability. You are not bound by the past, unless you keep choosing it, and you do not reach the future. You tune into it. Like adjusting a radio frequency, you are not creating something from scratch. You are aligning with what already exists in possibility. What you are about to learn is not a motivational tactic. This is not about willpower or surface-level mindset tricks. It is about energetically realigning your consciousness in a precise, intentional way, and doing it in a window small enough to bypass the resistance of the overthinking mind. You see, when you focus your attention, fuel it with elevated emotion, and anchor it with a clear intention, you begin to resonate with a new version of yourself. And because consciousness is the mechanism through which reality unfolds, that resonance starts pulling new outcomes toward you. This is why some people seem to experience rapid transformation seemingly out of nowhere. It is not luck. It is not random. It is coherence, the alignment of their inner state with a new future. Most people wait for their outer world to change before they shift inside, but the ones who truly master this shift first. So here is the truth. You already have the power to alter your timeline permanently, not years from now, not after you have read one more book or healed one more wound, but now, in 5 sacred minutes of total presence and conscious choice. It is not complicated, but it is intentional. It requires you to step out of autopilot, even briefly, and become the creator of your state, the observer, the chooser. And once you have done that, once you have tuned your being into a new frequency of thought, emotion, and identity, the timeline you were on can no longer hold you. The shift is done. The trajectory has changed, and the effects will ripple outward, sometimes subtly, sometimes explosively, but always undeniably. So if you are still watching, it is not random. You are here because you are ready. This is your moment. That small yet monumental 5-minute shift is waiting, and it starts with one realization. You are not a product of your timeline. You are the source code. Have you ever felt like a single moment changed everything? This might be that moment. You have been taught that life is linear, that your future unfolds from your past like pages in a book, predictable, irreversible, mechanical. But that is not how reality works. Not at the quantum level, not in consciousness, and certainly not in your life. Right now, you are carrying invisible scripts, beliefs that say who you are is locked in, that your path is predetermined, that your options are limited by what has already happened. These beliefs are not just old, they are illusions. In the quantum world, particles do not follow single paths. They exist in a state of superposition, multiple possibilities at once. It is only when something observes them, when consciousness collapses the field, that one version becomes real. Before that moment, every outcome exists. And here is where it gets personal. You are not just living in a timeline, you are shaping it. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you reinforce is like a tuning fork, aligning you with one potential over another. Think of it this way, there is not one version of your life ahead of you. There are millions, each one shaped by different decisions, emotional states, and belief patterns. These are not fantasy. They are energetic blueprints waiting for your attention to bring them to life. So why does it feel like you are stuck? Because you have been conditioned to only notice the evidence that confirms your current path. You have been trained to think the past limits the future, to see yourself as a product of your history instead of a participant in possibility. But the truth is, every moment is a junction point. Every breath is a crossroads. You are always one decision, one frequency shift, one change in perception, away from a completely different future. This is not wishful thinking, it is how energy responds to consciousness. Your attention is currency. Your emotion is fuel. When you invest those into a new version of you, a version that thinks differently, feels differently, acts differently, the quantum field responds. You begin to resonate with a new timeline. And that resonance matters more than your past. That is why some people seem to evolve quickly, while others stay stuck for years. It is not about effort. It is about alignment. It is about realizing that your timeline is not a sentence you are forced to serve. It is a reality you continually choose. You were never locked into a single path. You have just been taught to think you were. This is where power returns to you. Because once you realize timelines are fluid, once you understand they shift with your perception, your decisions, your focus, you no longer need to chase transformation. You embody it, you become it. And you do not need to wait for life to change to feel empowered. You empower yourself, and life changes because of it. This is the foundation for the 5-minute shift. It only works because reality is not set in stone. It is more like wet clay, shaped by your presence, molded by your belief. And if all timelines are possible, why not choose the one where you are already aligned, already empowered, already whole? Because that version of you, that life, it is already real, just waiting for your permission to become visible. And science has quietly supported this for decades. Right now, another version of you is living the life you deeply desire. A version who chose differently, who believed sooner, who let go faster. That version exists, not as a fantasy, but as a real potential vibrating just outside your current frequency. The idea of parallel realities is not just spiritual speculation. It is rooted in some of the most advanced theories in physics. Multiverse theory, string theory, the many worlds interpretation. They all point to the same radical possibility that multiple versions of reality and of you exist simultaneously. Let us break it down simply. In the quantum world, particles do not behave in fixed, predictable ways. They move like waves, pure potential. When observed, those waves collapse into one outcome. But according to the many worlds interpretation, they do not actually collapse into one. Instead, every possible outcome splits into its own timeline, its own world. Every decision, every fork in the road, every what-if is a doorway into a parallel experience. If that is true, and many physicists believe it is, then there is a version of your life where everything already worked out, where you followed your intuition, where you healed, where you claimed your power fully. So how do you get there? Not through effort, through alignment. You do not move into a parallel reality by force. You tune into it, like switching stations on a cosmic radio, and the dial you turn is your consciousness, your beliefs, your emotional vibration. This is why your internal state matters more than any external action. You cannot act your way into a higher timeline while thinking and feeling like your old self. The version of you who is living that upgraded reality does not just behave differently. They are different. They think differently. They speak differently. They carry a new frequency. And that frequency is your key. In string theory, reality is made of vibrating strings, tiny energetic loops that resonate at specific frequencies. The structure of everything, from atoms to galaxies, is determined by vibration. You are not separate from that. Your thoughts are frequency, your emotions are vibration. When you change your internal resonance, you shift the way the universe responds to you. Here is the part most people miss. Jumping timelines does not always look dramatic. You do not teleport. The sky does not flash. Often it is subtle, a sudden decision that feels easy, a phone call you were not expecting, a realization that dissolves old pain. Reality shifts quietly, until one day you look around and realize you are living in a completely different emotional world, and the physical has begun catching up. This is why staying stuck is a choice, because every moment holds a portal. Every second contains access to a slightly different version of your life. And when you make small, conscious shifts consistently, in how you think, how you feel, how you see yourself, the compound effect is timeline transformation. Right now, another version of you is living the life you desire. The only question is, will you shift into it? So pause for a second. Breathe. Feel that possibility. You are not trying to become someone else. You are aligning with the truest version of you, the one that has always existed in the field of potential, waiting for your attention to activate it. This is not just theory. People are doing it. People are experiencing changes in health, relationships, abundance, and peace, not because the external world bent to their will, but because they shifted internally first. They tuned their frequency, and the universe echoed it back. You can do the same. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to become a vibrational match for the life that already belongs to you. And when you do, when your thoughts, your emotions, and your identity align with the parallel reality you desire, the jump becomes inevitable. That is what this 5-minute shift is really about. It is not about doing more. It is about being aligned. Because when you remember how reality works, that it is flexible, fractal, and frequency-based, you stop waiting and you start choosing. And the mechanism of that choice lives in something called the observer effect. There is a strange, almost mystical phenomenon at the heart of quantum physics, one that turns everything you thought you knew about reality upside down. It is called the observer effect, and it means that simply by observing something, you change it. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists fired tiny particles, electrons, at a barrier with 2 slits. When no one observed the experiment, the particles behaved like waves. They passed through both slits simultaneously and created an interference pattern, as if they existed in multiple places at once. But when someone observed the setup, when consciousness entered the equation, the particles collapsed into a fixed position, behaving like solid objects. The act of observation changed the outcome. Let that sink in. Your attention, your awareness, literally alters the behavior of reality at the most fundamental level. What you observe becomes. And while that experiment was conducted in a lab, its implications stretch far beyond physics. It reaches directly into your everyday life, because what you focus on, you reinforce. What you witness with belief, emotion, and energy takes form. You are not just witnessing your life, you are collapsing it into form. Every thought you feed, every story you repeat in your mind, every version of reality you emotionally invest in, you are observing it into existence. Your attention becomes a spotlight, and what you shine it on grows stronger, more stable, more real in your experience. This is why you cannot keep focusing on fear and expect to create peace. Why you cannot dwell in lack and attract abundance. Because your observation is not passive. It is participatory. You are not watching reality from the outside. You are shaping it from within. The observer effect reveals something ancient mystics have always known. Consciousness creates. Where your awareness goes, energy flows, and that flow becomes form. Now here is the bridge. The science becomes spiritual. When you realize this does not just apply to atoms, it applies to identities. If you observe yourself as broken, you collapse into a version of you who stays wounded. But when you begin to observe yourself as healing, as whole, as rising, as capable, that version of you starts taking shape. It may begin subtly. A thought, a decision, a shift in how you speak about yourself. But in time, that observation, that sustained focus creates neurological, emotional, and behavioral change. And as we'll explore later, the brain follows, the body follows, reality follows. But it all starts here, with attention. So take a moment and ask yourself, what version of you are you currently observing? What timeline are you unintentionally reinforcing, just by where your focus lives? You have the power to observe differently, to choose a new focal point, to collapse a more empowering version of you into existence, not someday but now. Because the field of potential is always responding, and when you learn to master your attention, you begin to master your timeline. And that collapsing power you hold, it is not just spiritual, your brain is physically wired for it. Your brain is not a fixed machine, it is a living, evolving network of possibility, constantly shaped by thought, emotion, and repetition. This is the power of neuroplasticity, and it is the biological foundation for how you shift timelines in real life. Neuroplasticity means your brain has the ability to reorganize itself, to create new neural pathways, dissolve old ones, and physically rewire how you think, feel, and act. It is not just theory, it is observable, measurable, and happening every time you focus your attention. Right now, the thoughts you think most often are forming dominant pathways. These pathways become easier to access over time, like well-worn trails in a forest. If you have spent years thinking, "I am stuck," or "change is hard," those trails are carved deep. But here is the magic. The moment you choose a new thought, you begin to clear a new path. And the more you walk that path, with repetition and emotion, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, the old trails fade from disuse, and your brain defaults to the new route. This is not just mindset, it is physical transformation. You are not rewiring your brain with willpower alone, you are doing it with identity. Because the most powerful neural shifts happen when a thought is not just a thought, it becomes who you believe you are. When you think "I am powerful" and you feel it, and you act in alignment with it, that belief anchors into your nervous system, and that new identity becomes the baseline from which your reality begins to form. This is how people create radical change, not through pushing harder, but by shifting who they identify as, internally, neurologically, emotionally. And that shift, repeated with intention, becomes permanent. Let us take it deeper. When you visualize a future version of yourself, someone who has healed, created, succeeded, and you do it with enough clarity and emotional engagement, your brain begins firing as if it is already happening. MRI scans show that imagined experiences light up the brain in nearly the same way as real ones. The nervous system does not know the difference between memory and vivid imagination. So when you repeatedly rehearse a new future in your mind, your brain begins wiring for it. It builds the circuitry needed to support that version of you, and the more you reinforce it with feeling, the faster it takes root. That is how a 5-minute shift can create long-term change. It is not the time, it is the intensity of focus, the emotional charge, and the consistency of repetition. You are not forcing the world to change. You are preparing your biology to align with a new reality, and when that happens, reality responds. Every belief, every affirmation, every internal shift is either building a new timeline or reinforcing an old one, and your brain is listening. Every thought you repeat is carving a new road. Which direction are you walking? This is the real science of timeline shifting, not wishful thinking, but conscious reprogramming. You are becoming the version of yourself who naturally attracts different outcomes because your thoughts, emotions, and actions are emerging from a new neurological blueprint. This is why mindset alone is not enough. You cannot just say the words, you have to feel them, believe them, embody them. You have to walk the path of the new you until it becomes second nature. And your brain will follow, because it is designed to. But all of this still relies on one essential element when you activate the shift. Because the most powerful moment is not someday in the future. It is the present. It is the portal. It is now. But the true timeline portal has always been right here. The most powerful gateway to your future is not hidden in the distance. It is right here. In this moment. In the breath you are taking right now. The present moment is not just where life happens, it is where all timelines converge. Every possible version of you, every path you could walk, every future you dream of, they all exist now, layered in the infinite field of potential, and the only access point to shift between them is presence. This is the spiritual portal we overlook the most. We chase futures. We analyze pasts, but real change, real transformation only occurs in the space between thoughts, in the stillness of now. Why? Because time, as we experience it, is not linear. That is an illusion, created by memory and expectation. In the deepest spiritual teachings, from ancient Eastern wisdom to modern mystics, the present is called the eternal now. Not just a fleeting second, but a timeless state. A realm where identity dissolves, resistance fades, and pure awareness remains. When you are fully in the now, you are no longer thinking about who you were or who you are supposed to become. You are. And in that state of being, you become energetically neutral, open, flexible, and fluid enough to shift frequencies. Nothing shifts in the past. Nothing shifts in the future. Only now exists. And now is infinite. Even science points here. In quantum theory, particles do not move through time like we do. They flicker between possibilities. The moment of observation, the moment you bring conscious attention, is what collapses one outcome into reality. So what happens when you bring that level of presence to yourself? You stop living from your past programming. You stop projecting your fears into the future. You become the observer, the chooser, the one who decides what becomes real next. Right now, in this second, you can shift timelines, not by rushing or striving, but by returning. Returning to the breath, returning to the body, returning to the body, returning to awareness without judgment. Because only when you are here, fully here, can you choose differently, speak differently, feel differently, and in that moment, you step onto a different path. The mind will try to pull you away. It will say, not yet, later, tomorrow. But tomorrow is just a concept. Now is a portal. And if you can stay here, if you can breathe into this moment and anchor your presence, you will feel the space open. That inner stillness, that sacred pause, is the place where timelines bend. So what do you want to create from this moment? You do not have to have all the answers. You just need to be here, with clarity, with openness, with a willingness to shift, because that is all it takes to access a new version of your life. The present moment does not ask you to fix the past. It invites you to remember your power. So drop in, breathe deep. You are standing at the edge of your next timeline, and the shift begins now. So what exactly is this 5-minute shift, and how do you activate it? There is a precise formula for shifting timelines, and it is not about doing more. It is about aligning your inner state with the version of reality you want to live in. That formula is simple. Intention plus emotion plus attention. When these three elements converge with clarity and presence, they create a vibrational signature strong enough to tune you into a different timeline. And when repeated with consistency, that shift becomes permanent. Let us begin with intention, the directional force of your consciousness. Intention is not just a wish. It is not vague. It is targeted. It is the inner declaration that says, "This is who I choose to be. This is the version of reality I align with." Your intention acts like an arrow. It focuses your energy into a single trajectory. Without it, your attention scatters. But with clear intention, your energy begins to organize around a new outcome. Next comes emotion, the fuel. Your brain may set the direction, but your heart powers the shift. Emotion gives your intention weight. It is the vibrational amplifier that tells the universe, "I am serious." But not just any emotion. Elevated emotion, gratitude, excitement, joy, peace, love. These are high-frequency states that align you with expanded possibilities. When you combine a clear intention with elevated emotion, your entire nervous system begins broadcasting a new signal. In that state, you are no longer broadcasting the past, you are broadcasting the future as if it already exists. And that is not just philosophy, it is physics. Energy responds to coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, your vibration stabilizes, and the field reflects it. The third element is attention, your sustained focus. This is the lens. Where your attention goes, energy flows. You can have the clearest intention and the strongest emotion, but if your attention constantly returns to fear, doubt, or limitation, the signal breaks, the resonance weakens. Attention is your steering wheel. It keeps you aligned. It requires presence. It requires awareness of your thoughts and the courage to redirect them. You are shifting every time you choose presence over autopilot. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I cannot," and replace it with "I am." Every time you stop rehearsing your past and start embodying your future. Your intention is the arrow. Your emotion is the fuel. Your attention is the steering wheel. When these three align, you enter the quantum flow. You become a coherent being, internally organized around your desired state, and that coherence creates change faster than action alone ever could. Because you are not forcing the world to change. You are becoming the version of you who lives in a world that is already changed. Here is the part most people miss. You do not need to wait until everything is perfect to begin. You do not need to feel fully confident or healed or ready. You just need to begin broadcasting the signal, clearly, consistently, and with heart. And you do that by practicing this formula, daily, in stillness, in thought, in how you speak to yourself. This is the essence of the 5-minute shift. It is not magic. It is not a gimmick. It is a structured vibrational recalibration, done consciously, with full participation. Most people never experience this shift because they try to think their way into a new reality while feeling like the old one. But you cannot change your timeline with the same emotional signature that created it. The shift must happen in the feeling state first. When you embody gratitude before the evidence appears, when you feel peace before the problem is solved, when you align with love before the relationship arrives, you are no longer reacting to your current timeline. You are selecting a new one. So let us bring this to life, together. Now let us put it into practice, in real time. This is it. The moment we stop talking about shifting timelines and actually do it. So before we begin, find a quiet space. Put your phone on silent. Allow these 5 minutes to be just for you. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes, if you can. Let your body soften. Let the world slow down. Now take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and exhale gently through your mouth. One more time. Inhale peace. Exhale resistance. Feel yourself arriving in the present moment, not just mentally but energetically. Let go of what came before. Let go of what comes after. Nothing else exists but now. Now bring your awareness to your body. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Feel the beat of your heart. This body is not just physical, it is an antenna. It is tuning into energy, emotion, and frequency. And right now, you are tuning yourself to a new reality. Let us begin with intention. Silently or out loud say, I choose to align with the highest version of myself. Again, I choose to align with the highest version of myself. One more time, slower. I choose to align with the highest version of myself. Feel the power in that choice. Not hoping, not wishing, choosing. Now bring into your awareness a version of yourself who already lives the life you desire. This version of you is clear. This version is confident. This version is already living the timeline you have been reaching for. See them. Where are they? How do they walk? How do they speak? What energy do they radiate? Let this version become vivid in your imagination. And now, become them. Bring emotion into it. Feel what they feel. Do they carry peace, excitement, gratitude? Let that emotion rise in your chest. Amplify it. Let it flood your body like warmth, like light. Feel it in your spine, in your fingertips, in your breath. You are not imagining. You are activating. Now, with that emotion rising, speak this affirmation in your mind. This version of me is real. I allow it now. Repeat it. This version of me is real. I allow it now. One more time. This version of me is real. I allow it now. Breathe. Now comes attention. Bring all of your focus into this version of you. No drifting. No second guessing. For the next 30 seconds, stay fully present in this identity. If a thought pulls you away, come back. If doubt whispers, return to the feeling. Breathe into it. You are becoming the version of you who is already free, already aligned, already resonating with a new timeline. Now whisper this truth to yourself. I do not need proof. I need alignment. Say it again. I do not need proof. I need alignment. And feel the shift. Because this is the moment where most people fall back into the old self, waiting for signs, waiting for evidence. But you have just planted the seed. And when you honor the seed with trust and consistency, it must grow. It is physics. It is vibration. It is law. So as you breathe gently, begin to lock in this energy. Whisper, I am the observer. I am the chooser. I am the shift. Say it again, the louder inside. I am the observer. I am the chooser. I am the shift. And now, breathe that truth into your heart. Let it settle. Let it root. Let it anchor. Now, slowly bring your awareness back to the room. Feel your fingers. Feel your breath. Feel the ground beneath you. When you are ready, open your eyes. But do not leave this energy behind. Carry it. Because the shift was not just a feeling, it was a decision. You stepped into alignment. You collapsed a new timeline into motion. And from here forward, you will begin to see signs, synchronicities, subtle shifts, moments that feel eerily perfect, because they are. You are now tuned to a new frequency, one that has been waiting for you to arrive. This is your moment. Do not just watch, participate. Now that the shift is made, how do you lock it in? You have made the shift, you have stepped into alignment. But now comes the part that truly transforms timelines, anchoring it. Because without integration, even the most powerful energetic moments can dissolve into memory. The quantum field responds to consistency, not just intensity. To lock in your new timeline, you must embody it through daily habits, habits that reflect the version of you have just stepped into. This is not about perfection. It is about coherence. Every action, every word, every thought is either reinforcing the shift or unraveling it. Let us start with the simplest yet most powerful tool, identity-based affirmations. These are not just feel-good phrases, they are neurological instructions. When you repeat an identity statement with emotion and presence, your brain begins to reorganize around it. It starts looking for evidence to support that truth. Affirmation. I am aligned with the highest version of me, and I choose it daily. Speak it every morning, every night. Let it become your internal compass. But affirmations alone are not enough. You must also live in vibrational consistency. This means monitoring your emotional baseline, not controlling every feeling, but learning to guide your state. Ask yourself each day, is the way I feel right now in harmony with the future I desire? If not, pause, breathe, recalibrate. One of the most powerful ways to stay aligned is through micro-choices. These are small, daily decisions made from your new identity. What does the highest version of you eat? How do they speak? How do they respond to stress? Each time you choose an alignment, you strengthen the new neural pathways. You create emotional memory around your new identity. You reinforce the timeline. These micro-actions compound. They tell the universe, this is not a moment. This is who I am now. And the field always reflects back who you are being, not just what you want. You must also build rituals that support the shift. Whether it is journaling, morning stillness, visualization, or breathwork, choose practices that ground you in your chosen frequency. Do not make them complex. Make them sacred. 5 minutes a day of true alignment is more powerful than hours of distracted effort. Remember, it is not about how long you practice, it is about how present you are. And when life tests you, when old patterns whisper, when doubt creeps in, do not fight. Just return. Return to the identity. Return to the affirmation. I am aligned with the highest version of me, and I choose it daily. The more often you return, the faster your body, brain, and energy system begin to make this your default. This is how timelines solidify. You are not just visualizing a new life, you are inhabiting it through your choices, your energy, your devotion. And with each passing day, reality begins to respond in kind. People shift. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities align. Not because you chased them, but because you became the version of you that naturally receives them. So ask yourself every morning, what does the aligned version of me choose today? Then, honor it, embody it, repeat it. Because when the shift becomes a lifestyle, the new timeline becomes unavoidable. And as you stabilize this new path, life begins to reflect it back. You have shifted. Internally, you know it. But as your outer world begins to catch up, you may wonder, what now? The truth is, after a timeline shift, things rarely look the same. Not immediately. Not always comfortably. But always with purpose. One of the first things you may notice is synchronicity. Sudden coincidences that feel too aligned to be random. You think of someone, and they message you. You feel ready for a breakthrough, and an unexpected opportunity appears. These are not accidents. They are echoes, signs that your frequency has changed, and reality is reorganizing around you. But alongside the magic, you may also experience disruption. Certain relationships may feel off. Habits that once felt comfortable might suddenly feel heavy. You may even feel like you are in emotional limbo, no longer who you were but not yet fully who you are becoming. This is normal. You are not broken. You are recalibrating. When you jump timelines, the old structures begin to dissolve. And just like remodeling a house, there is a stage where things look messy before they feel aligned. Do not fear this. It is part of the process. You might feel a desire to isolate, to reflect, to move slower. That is not regression. It is integration. Your nervous system is catching up to the shift. Your body is learning to hold more clarity, more power, more truth. Another sign, internal clarity. Old questions may feel suddenly answered. Things you used to obsess over no longer bother you. You might wake up with an idea, a knowing, or a sudden urge to change direction. These are timeline indicators. Because when your inner world shifts, your external alignment adjusts. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes the shift is subtle, like an upgraded operating system running quietly in the background. And yet, everything starts to feel different. More aligned, more peaceful, more real. But be mindful, this is also where your old self may try to pull you back. When discomfort rises, your mind may question, was that real? You may feel the urge to recreate familiar problems just to feel grounded. This is a reflex, not truth. Stay steady. Trust what you felt. Remember, the outer world is a delayed mirror. You shifted already. The reflection is simply arriving. So in this phase, the most powerful thing you can do is stay aware. Stay present. Keep choosing the new frequency, even when your surroundings have not caught up. And celebrate every sign, every moment of alignment, every flicker of synchronicity. They are the proof your old self does not need, but your new self deserves. Because this is no longer about hope. It is about observation. And what you observe now is evidence of who you have become. And you may already be farther along than you think. What if you have already shifted timelines and just did not recognize the signs? So often we expect transformation to arrive with fireworks, sudden breakthroughs, massive changes, obvious markers of progress. But in reality, most shifts happen in the quiet, in the subtle, in the small inner moments that ripple outward over time. If you have ever felt a strange detachment from your past, as if an old version of you no longer fits, that is a sign. If your usual patterns do not feel satisfying anymore, if you have started seeing repeated numbers, hearing the same message from different places, or feeling called to go inward, that is not coincidence. It is resonance. You may notice your language has changed. You speak differently. You catch yourself before repeating the same old story. Maybe you are less reactive. Maybe you are questioning things you used to blindly accept. These are micro indicators of a macro shift. One of the clearest signs, you no longer feel at home in what once felt normal. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel shallow. The habits that once numbed you now feel heavy. You are not broken. You are evolving. And with that evolution comes a natural rewiring of your energetic field. People may drift away. New opportunities may appear out of nowhere. Even your physical environment might shift, rearranging itself to match your new vibration. But here is the key: you must be willing to claim the shift. Because if you do not recognize it, your mind will try to rationalize it away. It will say, this is just a phase, or nothing's really changed. But everything has. The timeline you are on no longer exists in the same way. You have made new choices, felt new truths, spoken new affirmations into being. That version of you, the one you glimpsed in meditation, the one you felt during the activation, is not just possible. It is already in motion. And your job now is not to create it, but to align with it. Repeatedly. Ask yourself, have you noticed more moments of peace, even in chaos? Have you felt a deeper trust, even without external proof? Have you started making decisions from your future self instead of your past pain? Then yes, you have shifted. And from here, your only task is to keep walking. Keep choosing the new narrative. Keep showing up as the version of you who already knows how this ends, with alignment, with growth, with expansion. What if the shift already happened, and now you just need to claim it? You do not need to push. You do not need to prove. You just need to remember. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation does not announce itself loudly. It simply arrives, and waits for you to notice. But there is one mistake that pulls most people back. You have shifted timelines. You have felt the resonance. But now comes the most critical phase, holding the frequency. Because what few people realize is this: most shifts are not undone by external events, they are undone by internal doubt. You cannot collapse into a new reality while dragging the energy of your old self behind you. And yet, that is what so many unknowingly do. They feel the shift, the peace, the clarity, and then they look around and think, why has not everything changed yet? They scan their environment for proof. They start seeking validation in results, forgetting that reality is a mirror, not a blueprint. This moment right here is where timeline collapse happens. Not because the shift failed, but because belief wavered. When you constantly check to see if it is working, you signal to the quantum field that you are still unsure. You begin reinforcing the old timeline by observing it again. And what you observe returns. Your belief sustains the bridge. Do not look down. Think of it like crossing from one mountaintop to another. The bridge is invisible, held together by energy, conviction, and alignment. But if you pause halfway through and say, wait, this does not feel safe, you start walking backward, not because you were not capable, but because you questioned what you could not yet see. So how do you avoid reverse collapse? First, you stop chasing evidence and start becoming the evidence. You speak from your new identity. You act in alignment with your new energy. You treat the shift as real, not because it is proven, but because it is chosen. Second, you recognize that tests will come, not as punishment, but as invitations. Challenges are not signs that you failed. They are opportunities to respond from your future self instead of your past self. Every time you meet fear with faith, every time you choose presence over panic, you strengthen the signal. And finally, you understand that integration is messy. There will be days where you feel like you slipped, where your energy drops, where your mind replays old loops. This is not collapse. This is recalibration. The key is not to avoid these moments, it is to move through them with awareness, to pause, to breathe, to remind yourself, I have already shifted. I am just learning how to stay here. Speak it with conviction. I trust the timeline I have chosen. I walk it with faith. Again, I trust the timeline I have chosen. I walk it with faith. This is how you hold the frequency. This is how you reinforce the new identity, even when no one else sees it yet. Because you are not here to wait. You are here to lead. And the timeline you are walking is one you create with every breath, every thought, every moment of trust. So stay the course. Let the old fall away without needing to explain it. Let the new rise, even if it feels unfamiliar. The shift did not disappear. You just need to keep choosing it. And if you are still watching, it is not by accident. You did not stumble across this message. You were led here through every experience, every question, every quiet moment of longing for something more. And maybe without fully realizing it, you have been preparing for this shift your entire life. The doubts, the delays, the detours, they were not signs you were off track. They were lessons in alignment. Training for trust. They shaped the very frequency you now carry, the one strong enough to receive this truth. Because timeline shifts do not happen when things are perfect. They happen when you finally realize that you are enough right now to choose differently, to see with clearer eyes, to feel with deeper presence, to act with higher intention. You have been waiting for something to confirm that your inner knowing is valid. This is it. This is your reminder that your sensitivity is strength, that your awareness is awakening, that your questions are signals of your readiness, not signs of confusion. If you have felt stuck, you were not broken, you were standing at the threshold. And this message, it did not arrive after your shift. It is part of the shift. It is the activation, the mirror, the moment that puts language to the feeling you could not yet explain. You were never late. This message arrived in perfect alignment because you are ready. You were meant to hear this now because now is the only time your soul can receive it. Not yesterday, when you doubted your strength. Not tomorrow, when the mind tries to delay. But now, in this breath, this space, this moment of recognition. Because once truth is remembered, it cannot be unseen. And once a higher timeline is felt, it cannot be unfelt. So take a breath. Let it in. Not just the words, the energy. This is you remembering who you have always been. The observer, the creator, the bridge between infinite realities. And from this place of remembering, the path forward becomes clear. Not because it was hidden, but because now you finally see it. So as this message settles into your nervous system, let it become more than just a video. Let it become a vow, a shift you choose to hold. A new timeline you no longer question. Because this is not the end of your journey. It is the confirmation that your journey was always leading here. So let us close this together with a final activation. You have arrived. Not just at the end of this message, but at the beginning of a new timeline. One that no longer waits for change, but creates it. One where your frequency leads the way. And now it is time to seal the shift. Not with effort, but with intention. So take one last breath. Slow, deep, present. And as you exhale, release the residue of the old self. The doubt, the delay, the disconnection. Because from this moment forward, you are not hoping to align. You are choosing it. Affirm with me now, slowly, powerfully from the core of your being. I choose my timeline. I choose my future. I choose now. Again, I choose my timeline. I choose my future. I choose now. One more time, anchoring every word. I choose my timeline. I choose my future. I choose now. Let that become your new baseline. This is not just something you watched. This was something you remembered. You remembered that your thoughts shape energy, that your emotions carry frequency, that your attention is creative, and most of all, that your identity is fluid, not fixed. You are not who you were. You are who you repeatedly decide to be. So going forward, choose with clarity. Speak with resonance. Feel with intention. Let the shift bleed into every conversation, every decision, every quiet moment. Because when you walk in alignment, life has no choice but to reflect that truth. And as you continue, know this. You are not alone. There are others, quietly awakening like you, who are shifting the timeline of humanity, one moment at a time. One breath. One aligned choice. This is not about being perfect. It is about being present. It is about honoring the sacred responsibility of your consciousness and using it to build something beautiful. So here is your next step. Live it, embody it, and share it. If this moved something in you, do not keep it to yourself. There is someone else right now, standing at their own threshold, waiting for the exact frequency you now carry. Comment the word aligned if you made the shift, and share this with someone else who is ready. Because this ripple does not stop with you. It starts with you. And if you ever doubt, return here. Rewatch. Reground. Re-choose. Because each time you return, the energy gets stronger. The timeline becomes more stable. The future becomes less a dream and more a lived reality. So here it is, your final affirmation, the key to carry with you. I am the shift. I am the signal. I am the unfolding timeline of my highest self. Say it again. Own it. And step forward. This is only the beginning. And the next timeline starts now.